Hey everybody, welcome into To The Point. It is Friday, March 17th, and we are here. Lots to dive into today here on To The Point. I'm your host, Noah Warren. I'm in a different location in my parents' home, actually, today. Nice window behind me, some nice art, different crap, pictures, I'm not a huge guy on setting up nice things, but I'm here today earlier because, truthfully, I'm podcasting, but they have a TV right above my shoulder, sorry, right in front of me, and I got March Madness on. So I can I'm a great multitasker. It's something I think I've mastered in my time as a human being. So I wanted to keep track of the action, wanted to watch a game while talk to you guys about so much. I mean, we got a big weekend coming up in the sports world. I'm psyched for it. There's so much going on. There's NHL, there's March Madness, there's the NBA, the Valspar, the golf tournament. Didn't even get into that. A couple Canadians in contention. Big Nick Taylor going low yesterday. Adam Shank, you got action there. UFC 286 tomorrow afternoon, a London card. It's going to be over by 9 p.m. You could sleep if you like to do that. If that's one of your hobbies, you could go to bed early that day. So there's so much to absorb, to consume this weekend, which is fantastic. Now, where do we begin? So I want to get into everything today. I want to start off by talking about March Madness. And there's Noah's bracket that I have here. This is my bracket that I filled out before the tournament. And then I keep another bracket, this one, to mark every team that wins. I love filling it in. It's a sick habit of mine, but I love writing it. I like to write it neat, and it's one of my little finicky things that I do. But looking at yesterday, guys, it wasn't a bad day for yours truly. It really wasn't when it's coming to game picks. Because let's go through it. I had Alabama winning. They did. Charleston beating that hurts me. Charleston did lose to San Diego State. That I got wrong. Ben Affleck let me down again. I had Virginia losing to Furman, which they did. So I got Furman, the 13 seed, beating Virginia. So I got that one right. I had Maryland winning, so that's a win. Arizona, I obviously got wrong. Arizona, 2 seed, I had to going to the Elite Eight. That's my biggest X of the day. I had Duke winning, of course. Tennessee winning, you bet. Let's keep going. UCLA, of course. Romp, UCLA. Boise let me down against Northwestern. That's what I get betting against the Wildcats. Northwestern, got to win. Kansas and Arkansas, bet against Eric Musselman. Good luck with that. My Texas Longhorns, Penn State, little 7-10. Had that one, a little parlay last night. And then Houston and Auburn. So I got 3 wrong yesterday, folks. Not a bad first. I'll probably get everything wrong today. First game of the day, got Michigan State beating USC and a couple Blue Bloods. Michigan State's currently leading by 6, so that one can go either way. But what an entertaining first day. Obviously, the biggest moment of the day is Princeton. The Ivy League school, a 15 beating a 2. It's a stunner. It's absolutely a stunner to see that. It was a game that, I was thinking the Texas game might go this way because I got a little worried because Texas was playing Colgate. And Colgate actually played really well last night offensively. They couldn't have shot much better, especially for college kids. They were moving the ball well. I think defensively they had a few players that were just not set up to play against Texas. Texas, so free-flowing. They have so many shooters. And that ultimately was Colgate's undoing. But I was watching the game, and I'm seeing Princeton, and they keep battling, and they have so many different guys you can throw at. And Aldana for Arizona is going to be a good NBA player, probably go in the top 10. I like him a lot. watching the game yesterday. He's got so many different things that he can do. But he was really the only option, and you looked at Arizona, if they weren't giving him the ball, they usually gave him the ball in the paint, then he can facilitate. He's also got an outside shot. But if he wasn't facilitating the offense, they really didn't have a whole lot of options. They were really one-dimensional, and Princeton figured that out. They double them, and then they kind of be stuck. Arizona would throw up crazy three-pointers, and that's one of the big headlines of the day is just the shooting or lack thereof is just the stupid possessions a lot of these teams have. In the NBA, you can fire threes. You're going to win in this tournament by getting the ball to the paint. Unless you're a Texas, which they'll win some games, certainly. And that's the game they'll play against Penn State because Penn State plays the same way. That's going to be a fun second-round game tomorrow afternoon. You're going to win this tournament by getting the ball into the paint, establishing your size, establishing your advantages, and using that. It's not going to be because you have the best shooters because none of these guys are that great as shooters. There's not many Brandon Millers in this tournament. And Brandon Miller didn't even have a good game yesterday for Alabama. They still won by 30. He'll have to be better, but the point is, most of these young men are suited to get on the block, bully your way get your way to the paint. Duke last night with Filipowski. His stat line doesn't look like an impressive game. He played great defensively. He facilitated the ball, got the ball to Jeremy Roach, got the ball to Sears, got the ball. He just found guys, gave them better looks, used his screens to give guys open shots. I thought two most impressive teams of the day for me, Duke, and I would say Texas because I think both those teams have so many options that they both played really well. Because I thought Colgate was a pretty damn good team. And they gave them a run for their money, certainly. And Colgate never gave up. Duke just romped Oral Roberts. Never was a game. Never was close. Because they just were relentless in their attack. They kept shooting. They rebounded. They just played a really smart game. John Shire, first game as head coach in the tournament, couldn't have gone much better for him. Arizona, you look at it, Duke has been, it's a program that gets a lot of publicity, but it's also a program that can be much maligned because they're Duke. Coach K is gone. Oh, we don't know any of the players anymore. They made a Final Four last year. They're a 5 seed after winning their conference. And to compare, Arizona as a 2 seed, they won their conference, the ACC, the Pac-12. What's tougher to me? ACC? I would lean ACC there. Yes, UCLA is a great team, and I'm sure UCLA, who was in the building watching Arizona, was stoked to see Arizona lose, and they just completely romped UNC Asheville last night. But it's a weird blend of you have a blue blood, and then you have a team that wants to be put in that mix, wants to get respect, and I don't know. The more I watch Duke, and I watched them all last weekend, and I filled up my bracket, and I got Purdue beating Duke in the Sweet 16, and I have Purdue going to the Final Four. I think I'm going to be wrong about that. I think Duke might get back to another Final Four because they have so many options. They're confident. They're playing the best basketball of any team currently. To me, in the country, they're playing the best basketball. Better than Alabama, better than Texas. Houston, number 1, who barely won last night, and their best players injured, didn't play in the second half. Not great for him. Plus, they're going to get gets Auburn tomorrow. Auburn's not a giant killer, but it won't be an easy out. Bruce Pearl's teams play tough. The SEC had a great day. Auburn wins. You had, go through it. Auburn won yesterday. You had Alabama, Missouri, Tennessee, Arkansas. 5 SEC schools win yesterday. I still think the Big 12 was the best conference in the regular season prior to the tournament. But Texas played Kansas. We'll see how it goes today for teams in the Big 12. But to me, SEC had a great day. Only helps their chances of getting more teams in the tournament as years go by. But love the way Texas played. Alabama looked good. Duke looked very strong. I love watching Penn State. Love watching Penn State. And they have Texas. Yeah, that's going to be a fun game tomorrow night. That's the game of the day tomorrow. As I look ahead to tomorrow's games, Houston, Auburn, Alabama, Maryland, it's okay. Missouri, Princeton, who the hell knows? Duke, Tennessee, Kansas, Arkansas, that'll be a good game. Northwestern, UCLA, I think UCLA wins that game pretty easily. Penn State, Texas, the game of the day for me. Because both teams can shoot the ball. Both teams have a lot of different options. And both teams are confident. Penn State, Big Ten title game. Texas won the Big 12. Both teams are feeling good about themselves. Both teams have a cavalier sort of cockiness about them. Penn State just beat Texas A&M too. So they want to take down the Texas schools. They can do it again. Today, I think St. Mary's VCU, it's a 5-12. That's a fun game this afternoon. UConn, Iona should be a lot of fun today. I think Kentucky, Providence, that's an upset alert game for Kentucky. FAU, Memphis. There's some fun games today. The tournament's always fun. So, looking forward to the action. Looking forward to all the games this weekend. We'll recap it on Monday. Talk about my bracket. It's already busted. I don't put a bracket in for winning money or anything like that. So it's just for fun. It's just for to track it, to see how close I can get, how many I get wrong. That's that kind of thing. So we'll see what happens here. Let's pivot to the NHL, where I have some thoughts about the National Hockey League over the last couple nights, with no show yesterday. Wednesday, I watched a few games. Watched the Colorado-Toronto game. Very entertaining. Two very good teams. And I came out of it with a conclusion that I've had for a long time and just a general outlook of things. Toronto has a goaltender, and to me, it shouldn't be a debate who is starting in the playoffs. To me, it's a stupid conversation, quite frankly. Ilya Samsonov is the starting goaltender for the Toronto Maple Leafs, period. I don't get why it's a Matt Murray-Samsonov debate, why Matt Murray is getting more of a push. Samsonov's been the better goalie all year. Does he have any pedigree in the playoffs? No, he's got one win. But everybody has to start somewhere. Andrei Vasilevsky had no wins. Hasek had no wins at one point. Matt Murray had no wins. Never heard of the guy. Then he got in the net. Jeff Zatkoff got playoff wins. So different things happen. Braden Holtby won a cup. I get Matt Murray is the guy that you want to be the man. You want him to, because he won a cup and you got him for another year and he's under contract and you want it to be this Cinderella story. I understand it. To an extent, I understand the need, the want for this to work out perfectly. But let's be honest here. He's not reliable. And when he's in the net, he's never been better this year than Samsonov. For a period, he said 3 or 4 good starts in a row. Okay. Samsonov's been pretty damn good all season long. Pretty solid. He's been reliable. And the other night, where it was a tight checking game, the officiating was pretty poor. They wanted to make it about themselves, which happens from time to time. There's games like that. Officiating's been pretty shitty all year. Nevertheless, he made the saves he had to. You lose the game 2-1. No shame in that. You lose to Colorado. Colorado's better than Toronto. Even this new-look Colorado team, they're better than the Maple Leafs. That's how I see it. But he kept them in it. They could have very well not gotten a point. He made a few big saves on McKinnon, on Rantanen. And Georgiev was good too. But the other night, Colorado was the better team. And Toronto got a point because Samsonov was. If Murray was in the net, they wouldn't have won. They wouldn't have gotten a point in that game. He can't do anything about the fact that the Toronto Maple Leafs can't win an overtime shootout game. He can't score a goal in the gimmick. I turned off the game. I don't know who scored the gimmick winner. Couldn't tell you. Maybe Rantanen. I don't know. I don't know who scored it. Didn't watch the gimmick. Flipped the channel. But he lets in a goal in a gimmick, in an exhibition. Somebody score a goal in Toronto. You get all that skill. You get all that speed. You get all that whatever. Flash. Somebody put one in the back of the net. Period. Not that tough. That's not Samsonov's fault. Matt Murray, I get it. He's got pedigree, and you got to start him. Okay. It's the same with Marc-Andre Fleury. For years, I don't get it. I want to win, period. I don't care whose feelings I hurt. I don't care about somebody's legacy. Fuck legacy. I want championships. And if Marc-Andre Fleury is upset because he's sitting on a bench, or Matt Murray's feelings are hurt and his psyche's more messed up than it already is, I don't care. I don't care because I just want to win. And to push somebody that does not give you a better chance to win than the other person, I will never understand. Because it's logic that just doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm seeing now Samsonov is starting tonight against Carolina. Thank fuck. Murray on a back-to-back. Yeah, you're the backup goalie, son. You start second night back-to-back on the road. You know why? Because we're going to start a better goalie against the better team. Period. But this back and forth, this debate, Samsonov's numbers are better. The team plays better in front of him because they're more confident he's going to make a save. He's been better all season. Every metric, eye test, nerds, just indifferent people. The only negative you can have on Samsonov is that he's a Russian. That's the only thing you can put on right now. Is he a Putin supporter? Is there something I don't know about this guy? Seems like a nice guy. Goes about his business. Doesn't speak English all that well. Number 8 in Washington likes Putin. He's got 37 goals. He's going to break the record for most goals in the history of the NHL. You put up with it. Kyrie Irving's playing. He's an anti-Semite. He hates Jewish people. And Samsonov's been better than Kyrie Irving this year. The Mavericks stink. They barely beat the Spurs, who stink worse. You put up with, I don't know. I don't get it. I'm being hypothetical right now. I don't know why. I don't know the reason. Why is there a debate? Why is there this chat? Common sense. Common sense to me. That's the conclusion. But good for Sheldon Keefe. He's got to go to the media and say, oh, Matt Murray's great. He lets in 5 goals a start. He's so fantastic. He's a great guy. He donates to the community. Yada. I mean, we get it. Every Leaf player is better than every other person on earth. Everybody else is scum. But come on. Try to win. You're going to get fired if you lose. So just FYI. The other big development from that game, Morgan Riley played maybe his best game of the season Wednesday night. I thought he was fantastic. That's as good as Morgan Riley's going to be. And to me, the biggest thing for him in that game was decision making. Wasn't about he scored a goal, which completely secondary. So in the first period, it was in the first 3 minutes. I looked past that goal. I forgot that goal even happened. He only played 20 minutes. Here's a big thing against Colorado. Played 20 minutes, but I thought he played 20 great minutes. He was productive. He was smart. That, to me, that was the big deal, is just he didn't overthink anything. He made smart decisions in his own zone. He moved the puck effectively. He used his shot. He jumped up into the play when he saw the opportunity. But he did less. I think he reacted to the game more than he thought the game. And I think that's sometimes where athletes can get in trouble, is you use your brain too much. Sometimes you just need to play the game. Just play. Don't let the game come to you. Don't overthink the game. When I played, again, I wasn't a great hockey player. I was a good passer. And the level I played at, I was a good player. But when I played, I could forecast a play, and I could find. That was my best skill was passing. I had a shitty shot, didn't work on it that hard. So I found a way to be effective, is that I found players who could shoot the puck better. But when you're playing, you have the puck, right? And you're just you have it. You're stick handling. You're looking for options. Guys are moving. It's like cutting in basketball. You just need somebody to come open, but don't think, okay, he might be here. Let's throw it over 3 sticks. Let's move throughout the play. Okay, he's going to be here at this time. Let's time the pass back, and that's a goal. Morgan Riley, Marner sees him. You jump into the play. He shoots a wrist shots in the back of the net. The other night, he jumps in the middle of the play, rims the puck, moves into the zone, attacking the defenseman. He moved the puck effectively. He played smart. It was the best game, I think, for him this whole season, because he's had a dreadful year. And that would be an encouraging sign for me. It needs to be more, certainly. They have a game tonight, and this is a perfect team to see how you play against. Because playing against Carolina is tough as a defenseman, because they are constantly coming after you. They are constantly on the attack. They are always trying to move pucks from you, playing that frustrating style of game. Constant pressure, constant pressure, constant pressure. So you need to be aware at all times. You need to be sharp. You need to be ready to make plays on the fly. So can he carry over the good play from Wednesday? That remains to be seen. But tonight's a really good test to see that. The Leafs need Morgan Riley to be at his best to win. Not just one round, but I don't think if Morgan Riley's playing the way he has been, like the other night was an anomaly for me because he hasn't played well all year. If he plays the way that he's been playing 9 of the last 10 games, the Leafs won't win in the first round. They're better than Tampa. Yes, I agree with that. But they won't, because then you're going to ask Luke Shen, you're going to ask Jake McCabe, you're going to ask other pieces that you have to do something that are not accustomed to doing, and then they'll be in a bad position. Morgan Riley makes $7 million to be your anchor. Not to necessarily be your number one defenseman, because he isn't one. Anybody who thinks he and expects that doesn't know who he is as a player, doesn't evaluate him correctly. But he's the best one you got. He needs to be your best defenseman. Too many times this season, there have been guys who've been better than him. Brody's been better most of the year. Liljegren's been better in spurts. You go through it. You pair him with TJ Brody for now to build up that confidence with 14 or so odd games left, and you go from there. But to me, if Toronto is going to win anything, if they're going to start by winning a round, because you got to start there, start by winning 4 games in the playoffs, he needs to be playing at his highest level. Because defense is more important to me than having really good forwards in the playoffs. You have a strong defense core. I'll take a strong defense core over a couple of really good centers because my D will win. My D will wear you down, and we'll win a 2-1 game while you're trying to play a track meet. And that's Toronto to a T. They're trying to get away from it. But encouraging sign from Morgan Riley the other night that he played really well against a good team in a tricky environment. And he only played 20 minutes, which is surprising as I looked that up. I thought it would be 23, 24 minutes. I'm going to look up the ice time leaders for Toronto that night. I know Marner, I think Marner played 29 minutes. Marner played 29. Matthews played 26. McCabe played 18. Liljegren 14. Hall 16. Giordano played 14. Yeah, their D didn't play a whole lot of minutes. They separated. They had 7 D dressed as well, which, ugh. Gustafsson played 16. They're going 7D again tonight with Luke Shen back in the lineup. The 7D thing's not going to work. I never am a huge 7 defenseman fan. I don't think it helps your forwards because you can't get lines in sync. I think the Leafs are still trying to figure out who they want to pair with Matthews and Marner as well because I don't think it's going to be Calle Jarnkrok. They want it to be Bunting, but needs to play more consistently. But yeah, lots to be decided here. Also in the game, you had 2 of the best wingers in the world putting on a show. I thought Rantanen and Marner were both incredible. I've said this for a while. I think a sneaky MVP candidate, if you're just basing it off the most valuable player to your respective team, Mikko Rantanen should be one of the top 3 players in the league. McKinnon was out, no Landeskog, Makar had concussions. You have a new goaltender who was hurt for a while. They've had a lot of things go wrong. Mikko Rantanen's been the constant, and he's been awesome all year long. He's got 45 goals, which is 3rd in the league. I'm going to look up his point totals. I know he's close. He's creeping up. He's getting more and more points by the night. He's never going to be huge. He's got 82 points. Sidney Crosby's got 83, just to put that in perspective. Rantanen's got a game in hand on him. 45 goals, 37 assists. 3 points last night in Ottawa. He's got more points than Braden Point. He's got more points than William Nylander. Mitch Marner's got 4 more points than Rantanen. I don't think many people in the hockey world would think that Mikko Rantanen would be that close in point totals to Mitch Marner. To me, he's a better player. I think they're both fantastic. I think it's really close. But you look at him move and how quick he is for such a big, strong man. The guy is a unicorn in a lot of different ways. But you have Marner the other night who's dancing, moving the puck. He's the least best player this season. And most nights, he played almost 30 minutes the other night. He's to me, he's their most consistent, their most important player. Rantanen, same thing. You could almost argue if you were going to go most valuable to your respective team, McDavid would still be 1. He'd still win the award, certainly. Come on. I would put Rantanen in that mix. Now, it's whether if Marner can make it. I wouldn't have Pasternak if it's just most valuable player to your team. I wouldn't say Kucherov either because I think Point is so good. Point's been fantastic all year long. You have Vash, my guy there. You could look at Jack Hughes. Jack Hughes would be on my short list. Jack Hughes over 80 points. Huge leap. They've lost a couple in a row now to Tampa. No shame in that. Lost in the gimmick last night. Timo Myers had 3 points. However, he's starting to fit in. He's starting to gel well in New Jersey. Mika Zibanejad would almost be on that mix for me with New York. Just some of their games this season, the way it's worked. But as I think about it, I would go McDavid for just most valuable player to your respective team. I would go McDavid. I would go Rantanen. And I might go Matthew Tkachuk. You know, ladies and gents, the Florida Panthers are unlikely to make the playoffs. I watched some of their game against Montreal last night. What a chaotic game that was. 7-3 after the first period. Matthew Tkachuk had 4 points in the first period. Florida's 3 points out of a playoff spot with 2 games in hand on the Islanders. They're still in it, somehow. But Matthew Tkachuk's got 91 points. 91 points. Huberdeau doesn't have 50. Matthew Tkachuk, who's just a power forward. Matthew Tkachuk, who isn't that good. I heard it all. Media people that don't love him. Oh, he got overpaid. Matthew Tkachuk. Oh, shut up. Shut up. He's 4th in the league in scoring. Matthew Tkachuk. He's got more points than my guy Tage. He's got more points than Mitch Marner. Mitchie Marnes got more points than him. More points than my guy J-Rob, whom I love like a son. More points than McKinnon. More points than Elias Pettersson. All these guys that are better. Nugent Hopkins got 83 points, by the way, quietly. But Matthew Tkachuk is a jack of all trades. He leads his team in PIMs and points and goals. He's a unicorn. He's a unicorn, and him and his brother are freaks, and they're both awesome for their respective teams. But the sad thing is, both of those players may miss the playoffs. Brady certainly is. Florida now has a better chance. They've caught a streak. Islanders have played 70 games already. Yes. 71 tomorrow in San Jose, I believe. So it's crazy that these two, to me, these two are still undervalued. Across the league, they're not given enough respect because they're not points guys. Well, they are now. Brady's got 30-plus goals. Matthew's got 91 points. They are so damn valuable to their respective teams because nobody plays harder. Nobody will hold you more accountable. And Huberdeau and Weegar get to Calgary, and maybe they go on a run to make the playoffs. But you can definitely see that Calgary's not as tough of a hockey team anymore. They don't have as much physical, just brute toughness. Not just physical brute toughness, just edge, just presence. But Marner could be in that mix. I go Tkachuk, Rantanen, McDavid. Just if the award is MVP to their respective team. Now, Tkachuk got to make the playoffs to make that mix. That's how it works for me. Like Erik Karlsson is leading the NHL in points by defenseman. He's having a great season. His team has the second worst record in the league. To me, if I'm a voter for the Norris, he does not get a vote for me. That's just how I approach it. I'm not saying I'm right, but I can put it this way. I watch everybody. I stay up late. I was watching March Madness last night till 2 a.m. I don't care about records. I love watching sports. And I like to be as informed for all of you as I can be. And has Erik Karlsson been fantastic this year? Absolutely. But there's something to be said for going into a game knowing that you can play freely and it doesn't matter the outcome. Cheat. Don't defend on this play. Do whatever you have to do because you can put up points and guess what? It doesn't matter. Because for every old head out there that will just look at points, he's a minus 13. My dad would keel over if that was my sister's plus minus and she had, 85 points. He'd say she stinks because he's got a minus 13. You watch his games, it's not working. He's a good player, Erik Karlsson, yes. But he would not get a vote for me for the Norris because you can't win the best defenseman in the world for that respective season if your team has the second best odds to get Connor McDavid. And that makes it way tougher. I get it. Especially this season. A lot of it's in the weeds. Does Winnipeg make the playoffs? I don't know. They stink right now. Nashville's still in the mix somehow. Calgary's back in the mix because Winnipeg is so damn incompetent. If they make the playoffs, Morrissey wins the Norris for me. If Winnipeg misses, then he's out of the top three. If he misses, Dougie Hamilton wins the Norris Trophy. And this isn't just I like New Jersey and I joke about it here on the show and Seamus and I joke about it. Dougie Hamilton's been fantastic. He's been unreal. I would nominate, if those two guys miss, I would nominate Hamilton. Dahlin would get a nomination for me. And I may go Miro Heiskanen in Dallas, who's been really good this season. You could go Adam Fox. You can always throw him in there. But I don't think he's been that valuable. Not Yossi, no. I think I would go Heiskanen, or I would go Vince Dunn in Seattle, who you probably never even heard of, but he had an OT winner last night. He's got 13 goals in the season, plays a ton of minutes in Seattle. They're going to make the playoffs as well, Seattle, which somebody bet on, getting plus money. So happy to see them win games. He's been quietly fantastic. If you think of the difference last night, Kraken played the Sharks. Vince Dunn played 26 minutes, right? Had the OT winner, 3 shots, 2 blocks in 26 minutes. They won the game. Karlsson played 28 minutes. And I watched this game late last night because why not? And he was on the ice for the game-winning goal in overtime. So, yes, it's about statistics now and points matter and everything like that. But it's also about impact and it's about watching every team. And I think too often now we just look at statistics. We just look at who's got the most points. They have to win the award, especially when it comes to defense. Like Victor Hedman has won Norris Trophy. That's a joke. I don't know if Nick Lidstrom winning all those Norris ruined it because he was great on both ends, one of the best defensemen ever. But because he won so many, I think people just refused. And the fact that Karlsson might win his 3rd Norris on a year where it just doesn't sit well with me. He's not a great defenseman. He's great at getting points. At the position that he plays, he's not great at it. But Makar has had a down season, but Makar's better than Karlsson. Makar's got 1. Where did I go on that tangent? Oh yeah, MVPs of the respective teams. But I don't. It's interesting. It's everything else. McDavid's gonna win the Hart. McDavid's gonna win the Rocket. McDavid's gonna win the Ted Lindsay. Selke? Probably Bergeron. He occupies the award. He's on the best team in hockey. They won a game they lost 2 straight. People are freaking out about them. Then they just TCB, take care of business in Winnipeg. No big deal. Shut them out. Swayman, backup goaltender, shut out. A game Winnipeg really needs to win. No show. Okay. people can keep panicking. People can keep pushing that narrative in Toronto. People in Winnipeg should panic, though, I'll tell you. The Maple Leafs play Carolina tonight, and I watched Carolina's game against, oddly enough, the Winnipeg Jets on Tuesday night. Or that was Wednesday, might have been Wednesday night. It's Tuesday, Wednesday. Every day goes by a blur here. And obviously, we learned this week that Andrei Svechnikov's got a torn ACL. Brutal injury. Horrible news for him. But, I'm not going to give up on Carolina yet. I didn't think they would win a cup because they didn't do enough at the trade deadline. I hated the way they approached it. I still have that opinion. I think they could have done a hell of a lot more. They chose to keep things the way it was, be cheap like they always are, get Jesse Puljujarvi for 2 cents on the dollar, get Shane Gostisbehere, which I didn't mind as a second power play guy, even though their defense is great. But you don't add forward depth, you don't add more scoring, and this what bites you. You get an injury, and now you're screwed. I don't think Carolina can win the Stanley Cup, but I do think they can win a playoff round. Let's say they play the Pittsburgh Penguins. And the reason I say that is I look at their team the other night, and they play with such fortitude, and they play with such strength after hearing that injury. They might have Korchkov in the net. Freddie Anderson will have, some kind of Lyme disease by the time that start comes, so he doesn't have to get in the net. Could be Korchkov, could be Antti Ranta. But you look at Aho, he can still play. Puljujarvi, okay, I'm not going to rely on him. But even you look at Jesperi Kotkaniemi, he played his ass off the other night. Played an excellent game. He scores a wraparound goal. He plays hard. Teuvo Teravainen has more to give. Teuvo Teravainen can play better. He's got more goal scoring. He's got more creative ability than he's showing. Brady Shea is having a really good season. He can push the play. They can get more offense from their D. So I believe that Carolina will not win a cup, but I do think they can still win a first-round series. If they get the right matchup, maybe make it interesting in a second round. I don't think they lost in the second round last year with a full lineup, so unlikely. But I don't know if this is, in a bigger picture, I don't know if this is an ownership thing or Don Waddell just being a chicken shit GM. But you got a great team. You got one of the best coaches in the league who takes less money to stay there. You got Jacob Slavin, Brady Shea under good contracts, Brett Pesce, and you choose not to be aggressive. You choose not to trade, give up more for Timo Meier. I don't understand it. I don't get it. You're in a window. Try to win. And this window is going to go by Carolina, where they were lucky enough to win in 2006. That was a way different time. Brendan Moore was playing through it. Eric Stahl was a rookie. They had Yanni Picken in that team. Corey Stillman, the veteran. Things had to go right. Dwayne Rollison got hurt in Game 1 of that Stanley Cup final. Maybe they don't win if Dwayne Rollison stays healthy. They were down 2-0 to Montreal in the first round. They found a way to grind through, and it was a Cinderella run. But it's not going to happen. You need to have big boys playing well. You need to have scoring options, and they don't have a whole lot of them. I think this is going to be a team of this century, sort of this decade, that we look back and say, wow, they didn't win a Stanley Cup. They didn't get to a Stanley Cup final with that coach, with some of that talent, but where's the rest of it? I think we'll look back at Carolina and be like, wow, why didn't you do more? Why didn't you trade some of your pieces? Why weren't you more aggressive? That's what I think we'll look back on with Carolina and be like, what could have been? But I do think they can still win a round if guys like Kotkaniemi, Teravainen step up. Stefan Nason, to a certain degree. Seth Jarvis has more to give offensively. But they're still going to play that same system. They're still going to make it a very tough out for you to be physical, frustrate you to death. But it's unfortunate with that injury and just where things are going, Carolina. In that division, Carolina loses their most important scorer, arguably. New Jersey's going through a little bit of a tough spell, but they're still a very good team, but they're small. I've talked about that before, how they need to get a little bit tougher. I think around the edges can be tough for them to maneuver. So they're not ready to win yet. Still a very good team, still on the come up. They're going to get Luke Hughes. Potentially it could play this year, next year at the latest. So you're going to get Luke Hughes, Jack Hughes, Dougie Hamilton still under contract. Maybe you can land a better goaltender. You can land a number one. So you can have that option. You have a lot of good things in New Jersey. Just put it as simple as that. But to me, the Rangers are starting to cook. And the Rangers are the team that I thought they were. I picked the Rangers to win the Stanley Cup before the year started. And they went through their trials and tribulations. Igor Shesterkin is like Andrei Vasilevsky. He's having a down season. The two best goaltenders in the world aren't playing that great. They played okay this year. But both guys are starting to play better here as we get into the second half of March. But he struggled. Panarin had a slow start. Panarin work ethic sucks on the best of days, so it's never going to be great. But Panarin's starting to play a game better. He's starting to be a little more confident with the puck. I'll never love him, but again, people do. He's starting to find his game. Zibanejad's been great all year. Zibanejad is, I love that player. Ottawa traded him for Derek Brassard. That is a killer until the end of time that he gave up Zibanejad for a guy like Derek Brassard. But you've got Zibanejad, who's great all year, but you had Fox, who's a little inconsistent. You had injuries. Lafreniere was a healthy scratch earlier in the year, if you remember. The kid line took a while. But you look now, Trocheck settled in. First year of a 7-year deal. He's starting to find his game. They missed Andrew Kopp as well, who's fantastic. So you got Trocheck playing with Patrick Kane, who you bring in. They're starting to gel. You got Zibanejad with Panarin. You got that line going. Kreider got to 30 goals last night. He's starting to find his confidence. He's just track speed down the ice. He looks like he was last year again. Playing confident, playing assertive. Fox is playing better. Lindgren needs to be healthy come playoff time. He's so important to that team. He is New York's Mark Mathot, like to Carlson in Ottawa. He's simplistic. He cuts off the edge. He makes things. He's not as big as Mathot, but he's very good at what he does. Just playing simplistic hockey. And Keandre Miller is the biggest step up. The guy's a stud. He's emerging as just one of the top young defensemen. His skating is so great. He's got a good shot. He's smart. I love every part of Keandre Miller's game. Nothing I don't like about the kid. So he's fantastic. But I look last night, they play the Penguins. Who the Penguins are battling with them. It's unlikely the Penguins are going to catch them for third in the Metropolitan. But also you want to kind of get in the mix. You want to make sure that you're going to make the playoffs, be firm in your wild card position. And Pittsburgh ties it up. It was 1-0 New York, then 1-1, 2-1 New York, 2-2. And earlier in the year, Pittsburgh would have won that game. Because New York would have folded. They would have gave up a third period lead, and you would have seen that team lose. But shortly after Jake Gensel made the game 2-2, it was just quick trigger. Chris Kreider scores a goal, 3-2. New York gets an empty netter. They found a way to win that game. Shesterkin made some big saves. I thought the team played well defensively in front of them. They are starting to look like a real threat. To me, they are beginning to blossom into the most dangerous team in the Metropolitan Division for sure. And the thing about them is their path is getting easier because Carolina isn't what they used to be. To me, matchup-wise, they are still bigger than New Jersey. New Jersey's a good team, but I don't know if they can get by the Rangers. Not this year. So that's a tough matchup. You get a weaker Carolina in a second round. Then you get the remains of Tampa, Boston, or Toronto. Whomever you play, unless it's Vasilevsky, you will have a goaltending advantage. If you play Toronto in a potential conference final, you will have a defense advantage. You may have a team depth advantage. Boston looks like a juggernaut, but Boston could play New York, definitely. That'd be a fun series. I think New York would give them a run for their money. Because I think both teams are really good. But to me, the Rangers are beginning to look like the best team in the Metropolitan. They weren't for a long time. And they're still third in the standings as we sit now. But if they can play this style of hockey, they don't need home ice. To me, that's not a huge deal for them. And in general, I don't think home ice is that important. I don't, because it's only important if you make it important. Like a Game 7 in Toronto's not a loud arena. Tampa won a Game 7 in Toronto last year. I've said it before, I'm not saying this to be mean. I've been to games there. This is just a fact. It's like a library. It's quiet in there. You have corporate people. They're rich. They work, and they sell their stocks, everything like that. They're not there. They're not blue collar fans. It's going to be louder in Boston. Carolina for them, lock up first because you don't have as good a roster, but you're a fantastic home team. They lost one game last year in the playoffs at home. It was a Game 7. Tough one, to New York. The Garden, yeah, that would be a good home ice advantage. But Tampa, Game 7 in Tampa or Game 7, I don't think they really have a home ice advantage. Looking at other teams, Colorado, Dallas, no. Edmonton, I was out there for the juniors, not exactly a lively crowd. What else? Teams that I just don't think it's that important. Last change, sure. Like Carolina, you're a weaker team. It's more important, but I mean Toronto, perfect world. You got Tampa, you got 3 centers that you can throw on the ice. Does it really matter? You have a shutdown line. Do you trust all 3? Because you have Ryan O'Reilly, John Tavares, and Austin Matthews. You have 3 different centermen. Sounds okay to me. So, to me, being in third, starting the playoffs on the road is not a massive deal. You can overcome it. It's not a hostile environment like it used to be. So, I don't view it as a be-all, end-all for these teams. If you're going to win a series, you need to have home ice. I don't view it that way. This weekend, some important games certainly on the calendar. Tonight you got Toronto, Carolina. Buffalo is at Philly. Must win for them to stay in the wild card hunt. Bruins are in Minnesota tomorrow. That should be a fun game. Jets, Predators, massive game in the wild card race in the West. Oilers, Kraken, another important game. Devils, Panthers. Pittsburgh and New York, another rematch. Sunday on the calendar, you got Preds, Rangers, Jets, Devils, Lightning again. Third time this week those two teams are playing each other. So important NHL games, just seeding, things of that nature. Other news, I guess Edmonton looks good. They beat Dallas last night pretty handily. Calgary got a big win over the Vegas Golden Knights. My Los Angeles Kings won another game. No surprise. Most fun team to watch in the NHL. Phoenix Copley should have got a shutout, but he lets up 1 goal. Korpisalo did not start against his former team, but LA looks good. Columbus is not a very good team, so that's gonna happen. But Columbus is doing everything they can to get Connor Bedard. They get 49 points. Worst in the league. You have San Jose, who's got 52. And you got a Bedard special tonight. 11 p.m. start, Columbus at Anaheim. Between March Madness games, I'm going to check out a little of that game. Just to see the effort of these two teams. For Anaheim, I think they want Connor Bedard really bad, just the players. Like, I think McTavish wants to play with him, so you might see their effort be a little worse than Columbus's, because Columbus is just horrible and they have injuries. So, but interesting nonetheless. Little 11 p.m. start, only 11 p.m. game tonight. Columbus at Anaheim in the Bedard special. Should be a fun weekend in the NHL. NFL, free agency is still ongoing. Aaron Rodgers has not yet been traded to the New York Jets. He intends to play for the Jets, but he is still currently a Green Bay Packer. So until we get more news, he will remain a Green Bay Packer. No huge signings, but I will say I liked a few. On Wednesday, the Philadelphia Eagles released Darius Big Play Slay, their corner. They had re-signed James Bradbury. They cut Darius Slay because for cap reasons, and they wanted to see, they didn't think they could bring him back. But they worked it out. They talked to Darius. He wanted to come back. They wanted him back. And when you look at it, Darius Slay returns to the Philadelphia Eagles. 3 years. He's got over $15 million guaranteed. So the Eagles bring Darius Slay back. James Bradbury's back. So they're lockdown corners. Their 1-2 cornerback position is set up. So good stuff for them. So they get Darius Slay, James Bradbury together. They also re-signed Eagles veteran and one of the biggest fan favorites in Eagles recent history. Fletcher Cox is back on a 1-year, $10 million deal. He reportedly turned down larger offers. He could have gotten more money elsewhere. He wanted to come back to Philadelphia. Still believes this team has a chance to win a Super Bowl. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is leaving the NFC. Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback in the NFC now. Just period. To me, it's not really a debate anymore. So you're going to have Aaron Rodgers gone. Jalen Hurts, best quarterback in the NFC. Dak Prescott rises also. So, the Eagles, Fletcher Cox can still play. You lose Hargrave to San Francisco. That hurts. But you get Slay. You bring back Bradbury. And they also added Marcus Mariota as their backup quarterback this morning. 1 year, worth up to $8 million, $5 million guaranteed. So Mariota was in Atlanta last year, got a run as a starter, didn't work out. He now heads to the Eagles. He'll back up Jalen Hurts. It's a good fit because they play similarly. They won't have to change the offense all that much. And I like that for the Eagles. Good spot for Marcus Mariota to be on a good team. They let Gardner Minshew go to the Indianapolis Colts. Colts will likely have a new starting quarterback through the draft. So Gardner Minshew will be that veteran who will sit behind him. They cut Matt Ryan, so the Colts are looking for new options at quarterback, and Gardner Minshew will be the new backup there. Marcus Mariota, the new backup in Philadelphia. So interesting stuff there. But I like the Eagles' moves in free agency for the most part. I don't always love bringing the band back together, as I've mentioned many times before. But I will say, I think Darius, he's 32, but I still think he can play. James Bradbury can still play. These guys aren't spent. You're just bringing them back because – and also, Fletcher Cox, he's an older guy. He's a veteran, but you're bringing him back on a 1-year deal. So this could be his last year in the NFL. Jason Kelce coming back on a 1-year deal. All these guys are coming back for 1 year motivated to play well. Motivated to win a Super Bowl and walk off into the sunset. Fletcher Cox in his mid-30s. So is Jason Kelce. Suamalu's coming back on the offensive line. So a lot of these guys are veterans. They know Philadelphia. They know what to expect. They know what to prepare for heading into the season, and what really, I think a team like the Eagles and the NFC are looking around and they know what's possible here. They know that our conference is so weak. We don't know who's any good in this conference. We might get Like Dallas might be our toughest competition in our division. The Vikings are going to take a step back. We can beat the Vikings. The Giants, okay, yeah, the Giants got Darren Waller and they've done a few things, but are the Giants really that scary? No, we can beat the Giants. NFC South, Derek Carr and the Saints who have no money, well, we're not scared of them. Tampa Bay with Baker Mayfield, yeah, right. So I think the Eagles, San Francisco, Seattle to a smaller extent, but I think for certain, the Eagles and the Niners, who were in the NFC Championship game just a few months ago, are looking at their situation saying we should be back in that game again because our conference is so mediocre. Because the AFC is so loaded, we have a much easier path to get back to a Super Bowl. And I think you can sell to your older free agents who can still play, come back. We got to the Super Bowl last year. Yes, we didn't win, but we can just come back. Come back because we don't have to go through Murderer's Row to get there. So interesting stuff there. Couple running backs off the board. The Saints signed Jamal Williams, formerly with the Detroit Lions, to a 3-year, $12 million deal, $8 million guaranteed. Jamal Williams became available because the Lions ended up taking David Montgomery from the Chicago Bears. So they go within their division, take David Montgomery, just like they took Jamal Williams from the Packers back in the day. So they like taking running backs from their own division. Jamal Williams goes to the Saints. He'll pair with Alvin Kamara. He's a touchdown machine. He had 13 last year, 13 rushing touchdowns last year. And the Bears in the same division, they got Deontay Foreman, formerly of the Carolina Panthers, 1 year, $3 million. Of the three deals, I like the Bears the most. I thought Foreman was going to be back on the Panthers. I don't know why they got rid of him. They signed Miles Sanders from the Eagles to a 4-year deal. I hate it. Foreman's a better back. Yes, Sanders can catch the ball. Foreman's a power runner. I get it. But Foreman is between the tackles. He's physical. If you're watching video here, I got Dirk with me today. My dog. She's wants to be part of the action. The attention whore of attention whores. But Miles Sanders fumbles. He's inconsistent. He's not all that healthy all the time. And I get the Panthers are going to draft a quarterback. But you're also adding pieces. Like you added Hayden Hurst. You don't want to be horrible. I think you can make the play. I made the point you can make the playoffs in your division yesterday. I like Foreman better than Sanders to do that. The Bears get Edmonds from the Buffalo Bills. You get T.J. Edwards from the Philadelphia Eagles. You get Foreman from the Panthers. Justin Fields is back. DJ Moore is on this team. I mean, you're going to add pieces in the draft, add a couple offensive linemen, maybe add a tight end in the draft. I like that a hell of a lot more than what Carolina's doing. You had the better running back. The Bears get him for 1 year. You got Miles Sanders for 4. Ugh. I hate that one. Jamal Williams, not bad. He fits what the Saints want. He's now kind of their Mark Ingram. So that works for him. But also the Lions, getting David Montgomery. DeAndre Swift's a very good player, good running back. I would have taken Jamal Williams back over, and he gives you less options when it comes to running than David Montgomery, but it's less money. I think he's as good a player. And I think Swift is very similar to David Montgomery. I wouldn't want to pay all that money. Backup quarterbacks. You have the Bills signed Kyle Allen, formerly of the Carolina Panthers and the Washington football team. He signs with the Bills. He'll compete with Matt Barkley to back up Josh Allen to the new backup quarterback. Mariota to the Eagles. Gardner Minshew to the Colts. P.J. Walker, former XFL MVP and Carolina Panther, signs up with the Bears to be their backup quarterback, and then they release Trevor Siemian, the former Northwestern product. And the Washington football team signed Jacoby Brissett. Well, I thought Jacoby Brissett was going to be an Arizona Cardinal. I really did. I thought he'd be perfect to fit in before Kyler Murray comes back. He just, to me, he's an above average backup or a low-level starter, but he's proven he can play. He's proven last year he was a better quarterback than Deshaun Watson last year. In Washington, Sam Howell they took in the 5th round. I think they want to give him a chance. To me, Jacoby Brissett should be the front runner to be the starting quarterback because he gives you a better chance to win next year than Sam Howell does. Period. But I like Jacoby Brissett a lot. But for me personally, I like that he's in Washington more than, and that's something to say, with Daniel Snyder and everything, the mess that they are, than he is in Arizona, because Arizona's got no skill position talent. They're going to have less by the time they get to the regular season. They've got a mess. I don't love that situation for anybody. I think it's really tough to win. So I'm glad that he goes to Washington. You get Terry McLaurin, you get J.D. McKissick, you get Brian Robinson. You got better weapons in Washington. You got a chance to be a starting quarterback for the entire season if you play well. Good for Jacoby Brissett. Cowboys re-signed Cooper Rush to a 2-year contract, only worth $6 million. So much for that 3 starts last year that went pretty well. He's back to being Dak's backup. They're happy to have him. Jerry must be just so excited. He loves Cooper Rush. Talked about him last year. He could be a starting quarterback in this league. Yeah, nobody else thought that way. What else? Mike Gesicki, former Dolphins tight end, signed with the Patriots today. So they added Juju Smith-Schuster. Now they've added Mike Gesicki, 1-year deal worth up to $9 million. That's a good contract for Gesicki. I think if he's used correctly, he can have a bigger season. He's a hard guy to tackle. He's huge. He's a red zone threat. Didn't work in Mike McDaniel's system. That might be more about Mike McDaniel because I like Mike Gesicki. But he now goes to New England, so he gets kind of a revenge tour. Devontae Parker was traded from Miami to New England. He had a pretty decent year last year on a bad team. And this just in, Isaiah McKenzie, a special teams player / wide receiver for the Bills. Today, if he would have stayed on the roster, he would have received a $250,000 roster bonus. But the team instead cut him. He's 27. Played in 15 games last season, recording a career-high 42 receptions for 423 yards, 4 touchdowns. He had another 144 yards on kick returns. He's a nice gadget player. I think he'll be scooped up by somebody, certainly. He has value. But a lot of backup quarterbacks are off the board, but there's still things that need to happen in the NFL. There's trades are going to happen. There's the whole Lamar Jackson. What's happening with him? Does Atlanta quietly come out of the shadows and offer him a contract that nobody expects? There's the whole Bobby Wagner, linebacker, still out there. Where is he going? Unlikely going back to Seattle. Because Seattle today added safety Julian Love right now, 2 years, $12 million, formerly with the New York Giants. But they also added Devin Bush, formerly of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So they added a linebacker there. We have Lamar. We still got the whole Bobby Wagner of it all. Contracts for Joe Burrow, for Justin Herbert. The trade for Aaron Rodgers that needs to be pushed through. So still lots that's going to happen in the NFL. Many of the top things that happen, certainly. But there will still be cuts. It's pro sports. There'll be cuts that you don't see after free agency and guys are left stranded. Where does Ezekiel Elliott get another, an opportunity in the league? So I'm excited to see what happens moving forward here. Also, Adam Schefter, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers officially released running back Leonard Fournette and tight end Cameron Brate. So 2 longtime Buccaneers, another 2 guys that could be good additions for teams, quite frankly. I think Leonard Fournette's still young. He can still play. He would certainly get my attention over in Ezekiel Elliott. I think he's got more in the tank than Zeke. Cameron Brate would worry me because of his concussion history. Maybe he doesn't get as big of an opportunity. So lots to be done here. Currently at the Valspar, which is the golf tournament this weekend. Normally not a great field, but there a lot of players want to find their game before the Masters, so they're going. You got in the lead currently is Adam Schenk, 8 under through 15 today, shooting 3 under par. Kramer Hickok is in second, 6 under par. Tommy Fleet, Jordan Spieth is not teed off yet today. He's 4 under, shot 4 under yesterday. We got this afternoon. We'll also get Justin Thomas, who's 2 under par. Sam Burns, who's 2 under par. Nick Taylor was even today. He'll make the cut. Won't be likely in contention this weekend. Adam Hadwin shot 200 yesterday. He's +3 after his first 2 holes today, so he's in a mess. But it's a decent field for a tournament that doesn't exactly usually attract a whole lot of great players. We have the match play next weekend, not my favorite event. And then we have the Texas Open and then the Masters. It's a couple weeks before the Masters we get going. Now, before I wrap up today, March Madness, everything this weekend, we also got UFC 286 in London, England. Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman 3. This is the third fight between the two of them. Edwards knocked out Usman 5th round head kick. You've probably seen the meme. You've probably seen it before back in August. First fight for both men since that took place. Usman trying to win back his welterweight championship. Edwards in his first title defense. Usman comes into the fight as the favorite, which is fair. He won 3 of the 4 rounds before getting knocked out. He would have won the fight if it went to a decision. He's one of the best welterweights of all time. One of the great UFC fighters, really. He's beat a lot of great. He's beaten Jorge Masvidal twice. He's beaten Gilbert Burns. He beat Tyron Woodley to beat the belt, to win the belt. He's done a lot of great things in UFC and in MMA. I think he's getting a little old, and Edwards is very confident in his abilities. Usman is a very good wrestler. He was taken down for the first time in the last fight, which was alarming. I'm curious to see how he reacts to being knocked out. Is he tentative? Is he still going to be able to look to shoot for takedowns, to not be afraid to throw punches, throw combinations? I think Edwards will win a round or 2, but I think Usman is going to win this fight. He may not get, and I think what I think is going to happen is that Usman will win this fight by knockout. He knocked out Jorge Masvidal in their second fight. He was not happy about the way the first fight went. He won it, but he didn't think he put on a good showing. He knocked him out brutally in that second fight. This is these two men's third fight. I think he's upset that he lost that last fight because he felt he was going to win it, which he was. He dropped his hands a little bit, and Edwards caught him, and he went down. I think Usman rebounds, gets his title back, and cements himself as one of the best welterweights in the history of the promotion. But that fight is not my favorite on the card. My favorite fight is the co-main event between Justin Highlight Gaethje and Rafael Fiziev. Both of these men are box office. Both of these men put on really entertaining fights, and I don't expect any different. These two guys just go out there and they will throw with the best of them. And Gaethje is 6-4 in the UFC, but he's had so many memorable fights. He lost to Dustin Poirier, but he's beaten Michael Chandler. He lost to Habib Nurmagomedov, but then every time he seems to lose a big fight, he comes back. He lost to Charles Oliveira. Now he gets Rafael Fiziev. Fiziev's last fight was against Rafael dos Anjos, who's a former champion. To me, Fiziev's on the come up. But Gaethje's still very good. He doesn't want to be the gatekeeper for Fiziev to keep rising in the rankings. I'm going to go with Fiziev in this fight. It's really tough to knock out Gaethje. I don't think he's going to be able to. I'm going to pick Fiziev by decision. I'm going to go Fiziev by decision in this fight. He'll rise the rankings, be in the mix for a title opportunity. In the near future, you have Beneil Dariush versus Charles Oliveira next month in May. Pardon me, they're fighting in May on the co-main event on the Henry Cejudo and Aljamain Sterling card. To me, if Dariush loses that fight, Charles wins it. They'll likely Islam Charles again. Yeah, I'd go Fiziev Islam because it's a new fight. It's something new. Yet we haven't seen it before. And there's other options in the division. But I just like seeing new fights. Fiziev beating a Justin Gaethje, that's a highlight. That's the biggest win of his career. He would be in the mix, certainly. If Dariush beats Charles, I would go with Beneil versus Islam later in the year, maybe August. I guess he's fighting in May. Maybe on the September card for the belt, maybe even October. They usually go to Abu Dhabi in October. So that would be what I would do there. If Beneil wins, if Charles wins, he's a huge star. I think the UFC really likes him a lot. Dana White likes him. So he'll likely get a title shot, but Fiziev's also a rising star, one of the best in the game. First fight of the main card, you have Marvin Vettori versus Roman Dolidze. Roman Dolidze is 34, but he's only lost once. He's newer to the game. He's a submission specialist. He's a lot of fun to watch in the cage. He's younger, but he's had some of the biggest wars in the history of the promotion. He's fought Israel Adesanya twice. He lost both of those fights, but he's always in the mix. And I'm just going to pull up his history here. 2022, he lost to Robert Whittaker by decision. He beat Paulo Costa, loses to Adesanya. He's beaten Kevin Holland, beat Jack Hermanson. So he's had some big fights. He's had some big wins in his career, certainly, for Marvin. But Roman's coming off a really impressive victory in his last fight out. Submitting Jack Hermanson. He's beaten Phil Hawes. He beat Kyle Dauskis. He's on a winning streak here. His last loss was to Trevin Giles, and that was in March of 2021. So it's been 2 years since he lost a fight. Marvin is really solid. He's really solid. He's a tough guy to break. I think whoever wins this fight will likely be by decision because I just think both guys are really surgically strong. They know how to fight. They know how to avoid danger. The fact that Marvin fought Adesanya twice, both 5-round fights, and he never got knocked out, never got submitted in either, is impressive. You go against Robert Whittaker, you don't get knocked out, you don't get submitted in that fight. So he's a tough son of a bitch. It's a big step up in competition for Roman, definitely. I'm going to go with Dolidze to pull off the upset, so to speak, beat Marvin Vettori this weekend and put himself high in that division. And honestly, in the middleweight division, there's a lot of guys who've gotten opportunities. You have Sean Strickland in there. You have Jared Cannonier. Dricus du Plessis is fresh blood. He's a fresh face. Roman would be as well. So I think he's going to get the win. He gets added to the mix of middleweight contenders. Jennifer Maia, Casey King O'Neill. I think she wins that fight. Biggest test of her career so far. That should be a fun women's fight. You also have Muhammad Makaev versus Yafiel Falio. That's the first fight on the prelims. It's a solid card. It's a solid card. It's tomorrow afternoon. That's fun. The O2 in London. Looking forward to it. We'll break it down on Monday, winners and losers. We got March Madness this weekend. We got the NHL. We got Dirk here. So lots to dive into. Hope you all enjoyed the week of podcasts. We'll be back next week. Hope you all enjoy your weekends. Until next time, this is To The Point.